Hello, beautiful soul, and welcome to another episode of Intuitive Creator Spotlight. Today we have Niobe here with us. She is a healer, artist, and spiritual guide. Her journey is as diverse as it is inspiring because Niobe went from ballet to massage therapy to that energy healing as well. She will share with us more about her passion and what guided her to where she is at right now. Hi, Niobe. I'm so happy to have you here with us.
Oh, hello, Stella. Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here. Very much so.
It is a joy and honor to record this interview with you. And I know that your journey started, I mean, especially this spiritual path part of your journey started especially around 1989 when you had a near-death experience. Would you like to tell us how that moment impacted your journey?
That moment, 1989, was a very challenging time. And oh my goodness, and for a while, I really just wanted to keep it close to myself. But the near-death experience that occurred was due to we at times we will find ourselves like we are in a vacuum. We can be in our relationships with our family, with our spouse, friends. It can be like we are in this vacuum, and we're being pulled on and pulled on and pulled on. And no matter what you do, you just can't seem to do anything right. I know people listening to this right now can relate to that. And for myself, I mean, I was struggling, and I had two small children at the time, and I was in this place of just not being able to do anything right. And this is where, spirit can come in. There was I survived taking my life one night, and it was not planned. It was not in my mind. I had my children. I mean, they would never think of doing anything like that. But we'd been out on a fishing trip. It had been a good day. Stopped at a friend's house. Hadn't really eaten much of anything, and I drank wine, and the wine really got me. And so by the time I came home, I mean, I was really inebriated. So and then so this the partner I was with, he started to he started to be mean to my son, to my child. And so put my child away, and I said, hey, I said, no, you can't do this, can't do this. And he looked at me and he said, why don't you just F off and die? And something snapped inside me. And I don't know what happened. Something snapped inside me. And I had some medication for muscles, and I had a muscle injury and pain. So I took muscle relaxers and pain pills. And I lay down on the couch, and I left my body for a good, not 24 hours, but probably a good 12 to 15 hours. And I recall crashing back down into my body. And because as I did, there was this voice that whispered in my ear, and it said, wake up. I opened my eyes and I smiled. I said, I'm alive. And from that moment, my body did not work. I couldn't use my legs and all, but from that, I literally crawled, trying to get to the bathroom. And he then came out and took me to the emergency room. But literally, I woke up, I fought to live. And it took some years to have some hypnotherapy. Oh, immediately, I mean, I left, I went into therapy, and then in some hypnotherapy, I recalled what occurred when I was out of my body. And there was a meeting with Yeshua and Jesus and Mother Mary, and this old woman. And this old woman was saying, I'm sorry for all I did. Well, that was 1989, and it was 2008. My mother is going to be going into her dying process. And my mother looks at me and she says, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I don't know why I did what I did.
Wow.
And so if there's anything about my when with my work is I get my work fully out there, more out into the world. Some people have a cause that that you put with your work, that you put with your business. And for me, it would be suicide prevention, because back then, it was, you just didn't talk about that. It was something to be ashamed of. But as these years have gone by, we've watched how it has just, it's epidemic.
Yeah.
It's an epidemic of, from children, you know, 9-year olds on are coming into this place where there is such an emptiness, and there's something I just can't do anything about, and they don't know how to reach out, don't know how to say, help me, I'm drowning, I'm in these circumstances. So that's a cause that I weave my business with, is suicide prevention. So that's, wasn't exactly planning on sharing that, but that is
Wow.
um that was the beginning of my spiritual walk, and my spiritual awakening that
Wow.
just bloomed out a few years later, and a few years later with a partner of mine, and through tantra, and then just having an energy session with a healer friend, that the next thing I know, because my children and I left, I got into massage and was loving doing this work, and I'm working on a client one day, um, and I'm just hearing, I'm hearing tones, and being I'm being directed and called to sound over this person's body, to tap, blow, poop, sound, and do light language. And I'm like, I can't do this. I'm in a spa setting. This person will think I'm nuts. And but so I was doing some private work and with friends, and this one woman, I said, do you mind if I try something? She said, no, go ahead. And so I did. And as I started toning and using the light language, and then following the guidance, where
Mm.
was I to put my hands? Where was I to move energy? It was like, you know, um, sometimes their acupuncture, the whole acupuncture system will light up, or different places will light up on people's bodies. And so that just is where my really deep spiritual healing work started to open up. And then it deepened in, then it took this interesting turn into a melody reading. I've tried to box it into, oh, it's a soul reflection reading, and make it really this some kind of really woo woo fancy name. And really what it comes back to is, it's a melody reading. I at a dinner party was saying, we were celebrating this man, and went over, and I just put my hands on his shoulders and was just going to give him some energy or whatever, just sound, right? Well, as I started to, here comes this melody. And I said, go ahead. And it said, go ahead. Guide said, go ahead and sing this. As I start singing this melody, I'm realizing I start seeing pictures of him, but it's not through his perspective. It's through other people around him.
Mm.
It's how other people see him and experience him. And as this melody moves on, it's about how this interaction, that how what these people enjoy about him, how they respect him, what they think of him, how he makes a difference in their lives just by being who he is.
Wow.
And so I took that and said, okay. And then I just one person after another, and then started having groups, melodies of the heart, and then reading for people. And doing a melody reading. And Stella, it is such an incredible honor to, one, that these people trust me to, one, be doing the sound, and they're there and they're present and they're saying yes from their heart, but then to experience them, to be able to see who they are. And so many times there is a connection of us to nature. There's something about nature and us that is connected in our soul. And so it's just been a divine journey
It is.
into that.
It's beautiful to experience this kind of connection with so many people. And it also comes with responsibility, isn't it? Because you have to kind of know how to share certain messages because you don't know exactly where that person is at in their life and how ready they are to receive those messages. So I feel that these beautiful spiritual gifts, they do come with a lot of responsibility as well. And what a gift also that you have this desire to constantly come back to yourself and check in with yourself, and you have this knowing and awareness that this is so important, and that's such a beautiful gift to the whole world and to every single person who comes in contact with you. So I know that you also have a background in ballet. So you've always been around people, and then you moved into, again, doing the massage and then connecting with people on this level. What would you say is something common between all of these experiences for you?
It common is the building blocks of my soul steps of my life, because each one has been, it's like when, if you're you can see a path, you can walk along a path, but I like to, there's stepping stones. If you're crossing a little small creek and there's water going by and there's these stones that you step upon, and within each one of those, it's like from the time I was 2 years old singing to Disney records, and then into ballet at 4, and then moving on in my life, the stepping stones, they've been a step of our souls blooming, our souls experience, our souls opening up into our life, into communicating with us from the inside out of, this is what I'm interested in, and you step here. Oh, I'd like to do that. You step there. Well, okay, that wasn't too good, but I did it. And it's, whether good, bad, or indifferent. We're talking about, what happened, what was going on in my life in 1989. That was a stone. That was a part of my life. So we can't just look at all the blossoms in our lives. And many people can look and say, Niobe, I don't have a lot of blossoms, sitting on a stone in my life, when that it was a blossoming stone. But everything is woven. Our soul has this weaving of experiences of, sometimes it's a conscious choice. It's a conscious choice that we said yes to because we were drawn to do something. I'm drawn to play piano, or I'm drawn to massage, wherever we are drawn to, and we say yes to it. But then sometimes it's a deeper soul energy. It's soul path that is moving us, and we're not aware of it until maybe some years later. Sometime later we look back and go, I really don't know how I got into that, or how it started, but I do see that it's brought me here where I am.
And then we connect the puzzle pieces, and it's really beautiful. And then when you go deeper and deeper and you look at your present lifetime and some other lifetimes as well, your ancestors, as we had a chat about this before we started this video as well, and everything together adds up to that incredible power. So talking about ancestors, I know that you have Native American grandmother who has been influencing you with your intuitive gifts. How would you say her presence influenced your path?
It's her, my mother called it her ESP, mom's ESP. And and she, she didn't really relate to it, any much, but I mean, there was, she gave a story about how she remembered that her mother was smelling turpentine. She goes, I'm smelling turpentine. Why am I smelling turpentine? My mother couldn't smell turpentine. But what it turned out to be is that my grandfather, my mother's father, had gotten some kind of a burn at work, or something on his skin that was burning him. And they used turpentine to get it off. And I think the way that my mother modeled it to me was, I remember this very clearly. I was 5, and it was just she and I, and we pulled up to the house in the driveway, and we're looking up at the house, and I start to get her. She goes, no. And she's looking at the house. She goes, no, let's wait till your dad gets here. Now, and for some reason, and there was this, we're so open when we're little, when we're children. And then there was like something, I was like, I could sense and feel something within her. So I just said, okay. And then, my dad got there, we went inside, everything was fine. But that taught me right there. She was listening. Maybe somebody had been in there, maybe not. Maybe they were leaving and we had, nothing was missing. The outcome of whatever, but that was a really important, I remember that very clearly, a modeling of listening to our intuition.
Mm. Wow. And it's so interesting how, you mentioned it, you were so young, and yet these are memories that just stay with you, and they're there for a reason to kind of remind you of your own power and how important it was then for you to continue to explore it. That is so beautiful. And I know, Niobe, that then you later in life, we talked about this early memory of yours, but later in life, you decided to explore various religions and philosophies, and to just know more about spirituality in general. What are the things that led you to this exploration? Why did you really want to go into all of it, study it?
It's a good question. I was raised Catholic high, Catholic school all the way. And, but there was always this thing about, at the time of trying to find the Native American side on my mother's side. And, but my senior year, we had a Christian brother, 26-year-old, curly haired, rosy cheeked Christian brother who, it was a class of, it was a class about, different religions. And so, and so what we looked at is we looked at Zen Buddhism, we looked at Sufi, we looked at Wicca, we looked at all these different religions. So comparative religion class, that's what it was. And so he's bringing these religions up, but then we had a building called that we could go see films in, and it was like a theater, movie seats and closed off, it was quiet. And so he took us once a month. He taught us transcendental meditation, Silva mind control, and self hypnosis in a Catholic high school and comparative religions. So I think that was really that's where it started.
Interesting. And then you continued to open up more and more. And then you mentioned that you connected with sound as well. And now I know that you're also a singer and a songwriter. How do you feel these notes and messages are coming to you to then create these sounds and songs?
It was Well, I mean, I enjoyed singing in choir in 8th grade, and somehow we wound up on TV. I would always wind up in front of people. We wound up on TV, and we wound up singing for the bishop's ordination out of all the Catholic choirs that could be there. Um, and but then as because of the sound healing, the tones, light language, what I was doing and all. And so I have a beloved friend, he's now in spirit, but he was a benefactor as well. And he really believed in me. He said, you need a CD. I'm like, okay. And so he actually found the studio through the newspaper, an article. And so when we went there and we spoke with a man who owned the studio and a man that was a producer, guitar player, we left there and we said, this is spirit. He said, this is spirit driven. This is it. And so when I went in there to record, I thought I was going to get this nice toning, just sounding CD. And what happened is I came out of there with 14 original songs. 7 of the melodies were mine. 7 of the melodies were the guitar player producers, and I wrote all the lyrics. And some of the lyrics were in English, some of them were English and light language. And that was the beginning of becoming aware of that ability, that part of myself.
That's beautiful. If to everyone who's watching us, if someone is new to the concept of light language, how would you explain that? What is that? What is a light language?
Sure, absolutely. So there is a difference. So those of you that are aware of speaking in tongues, it's the charisms, and this is it's not New Thought Church, but it's in fundamental Christian churches. Not all fundamental Christians, but very much, Church of the Nazarene. A lot of our different fundamental churches will have speaking in tongues. And so this was something my sister, after I had my near-death experience and survived and had my life back, still have my life. She says, took me to this church because she felt that this is what I needed and could use. And the minister was fine and all, but I was not really feeling in alignment with it. But there was an evening, and this was an evening that you could go get blessed by the Holy Spirit. And so everybody lined up, and I'm like, okay, I'll do this. And as he's going down the line, I mean, I'm aware of what speaking in tongues is. Been around people that speak in tongues in prayer groups, and people are falling backwards and speaking in tongues on the floor, and somebody does catch them, and so he came to me, and he didn't even touch me. All I recall is in the name of Jesus, and right at my third eye, and I'm on the floor, and my hands are trembling and burning hot, and my mouth is moving, and this man whispers, "The Holy Spirit is a gentleman. Let him come through." And I started speaking in tongues. So, but I was very conscious of the experience. By that time, I knew about chakras, and it was like, when okay, the only chakra that's been activated is this one, in my throat, my third eye, and my crown. And it was not something that was to follow and stay within. This belief system was not something that worked for me. It works for many people, but for me, it did not. And then when I left, I left where my sister was living in Oklahoma, because I'd gone back home, and went to Washington State. So Niobe goes from Catholic to being nothing, learning about meditation, all this stuff, being very kind of hippie kind of thing, and then has this happen, gets the speaking in tongues, and then I come to Washington State, and one of the healing things that happened for me was spending 3 years in the goddess religion and following the moons and honoring it around the fire and honoring the wheel of the year was incredibly healing for me. And at that time I met my beloved partner who's now in spirit. And so there was, so those of you that understand and know Tantra, we were natural Tantra partners. And this is where the light language was within him, and he activated it within me. So, what is the difference with light language and speaking in tongues? Light language has, first of all, it is a fullness of every chakra from the root to your crown. And it's in everything. It is a cellular language. It is a dimensional language. It is everything. And it sounds different to each person, but there is a consistent vibration about light language. And so for me, to me, I speak it out in nature, and then I started to sing in it because I started hearing tones out in nature, just as I had started hearing the tones on my client and in their energy field. And for me, with a client, the language helps me connect with your soul, with your energy field, your guides and my guides is what happens. And then then again, like I said, I start seeing pictures. I start getting guidance. I start getting messages, and it moves there into tones, but also definitely it also really leaves every one of my clients that I work with, it leaves them with a message and their own form of a sounding practice for them to be able to use themselves to keep keep that activation of the session, but also to help them just to move forward into inquiring, where are they to go next? Where is it spiritually, physically, mentally, spiritually? What is their next step? What's their next stone to step on?
I love that because yes, we as someone who is facilitating the space for a client, for example, to find the truth within themselves, we can only do that, facilitate that space. But the truth is then within every single one of us. I mean, our own truth.
Right.
And I love how you said that it's then about them finding like what's their next step. But it's such an important and incredible thing to then have the tool to tune into that next step and then know how to access that. This is so, so incredible. So how would you say, Niobe, you're integrating the sound, music, and energy work to facilitate that healing and transformation in your clients?
Sound, well, like sound, message, and music. Many times there is, I'm bringing my music. Will be bringing my music. Like I, into like there's one song that I will bring into like a program, and like a group program, and but I would say music wise, so there's the energy in the session. But there's a sounding practice for themselves. So there's always, like I said, there's always a sounding practice for them to work with, and they'll know when not to work with it. They'll know when it's not work with it. That's not the way. That's not correct. When it's complete, and well, they'll use it. And like, why am I not using that? It's because it's complete, because it's done. It's done the work on the inner matrix of their energy and their soul matrix of everything. So and then they'll have like a mantra message for that. And but it's like with groups. I was with a group yesterday with my bowls, and I've offered a form of a sounding meditation. And then there's a sounding meditation with them. And then as I come into my community, that I'm online community that I'm building, that's where I'm going to more share, you know, a track of music here and there. And then as far as message is concerned, then I'm looking forward to having some time that it will be on a regular basis that we get together, and there's an inspiration from the divine of a message to people, and then let's talk about it.
Oh, that's so beautiful. And sound can be very healing. I mean, like everything, really, we can use it in different ways, right? But
Right.
especially when we use it for healing, everything changes. And even if it's like it's invisible, like we can't really like see it with our physical eyes, but the sound creates a lot of shifts in our body as well. So I would love to ask you to share with us a short sounding
Sure.
meditation if you'd like to.
Absolutely. Sure,
And
absolutely. And I'm
yeah,
sorry.
and just tell us a little bit about like what the intention for the meditation is.
Okay. Absolutely. And also the one thing about sound is that we can do this silently within us too. We can be in a crowded room and it's like, you know what? I am really, and you can go inside and you can hear it and you can move it any way you want. So it can be silent as well. So, so the, the short example I'm wanting to bring here today, this bowl is a high C, and the intention of this is the intention of this is I am. It's an I am meditation. I am light. I am love. I am whole. I am light. I am love. I am whole. I am light. I am whole. I am love. And you can go it back and forth like I just did. I am light, I am love, I am whole. I am light, I am love, I am whole. I am light, I am love, I am whole. I am light, I am love, I am whole. I am light, I am love, I am. Walk, you can walk anywhere you're at. Just kind of singing that in your head. I am light, I am love, I am whole. I am light, I am love, I am whole.
Thank you so much, Niobe. This is so magical. I could feel it and I was there with you. It is very special and I'm so, so grateful for this. It's about, as we mentioned before we started this video, it's so important to also have the capacity to receive healing.
Yes. Yeah, And then that it is that allowing. It is that allowing of I receive. And I receive, and sometimes the words, and it's I am worthy to receive. That's where there I am light, I am love, I am whole. I am worthy to receive. And I receive fully, completely.
Thank you so much. And before we wrap up this episode, Niobe, is there any message that just comes to you and you'd like to share with anyone who wants to create a deeper connection with themselves?
Mm. Just there's people reflect your people reflect your greatness to you all the time. They reflect to you how much you mean to them, how you change their world, how you look, how you present yourself, what your personality is like, how you change their world. And it's in compliments. And we have been taught many times, like, oh, no, no, no. For some reason, we want to just literally see my hands like, oh, no, and no, it's fine. I do that. I'm just happy to do that. That's deflecting that compliment. A compliment that somebody gives you is a gift. They don't have to say it. You know when when somebody's blowing sunshine up your bloomers and up your skirt or up your shirt. But no, it's it's genuine. They don't have to reflect to you who you are, how you touch their lives, how you look, how you feel, how you are, just the fullness of how you are. So when you get somebody giving you a compliment, it is energy. It's an energy gift from their heart, and it's truth. And it's meant to infuse your heart. It's meant to infuse you into going, that is me, and embracing that is me. And we don't have to become arrogant about it. No, it's about that is me. Oh, then how can I be more of that? How can I be more of that and serve? How can I be more of that and be able to touch others
Mm.
by simply being me?
So true. Because a lot of the times these people will be like messengers in very important moments in our lives. We can be messengers for other people too. And like you said, we are so connected with each other. And so it's a gift that they are sharing with us. So thank you from the bottom of my heart, Naomi, for your presence today here in this interview. I'm really grateful to hear all the wisdom from you. And also, I'm grateful that we've experienced that sounding bowl. I was
Oh,
absolutely there in that magic with you.
thank
Thank you
you.
to everyone who watched this episode. Check out the description of this video to find out how you can connect with Niobe and myself. And stay tuned for another episode soon. Take care. Bye bye.